Hello there, welcome viewer. My name is Colm Ahern, and with me is the wonderful, gorgeous, sexy, attractive, I can't come up with any more words to describe this man, Jonny Lewis. The Saints are coming, Jonny, how are you?
Very well, thank you. There's a great introduction considering we just met.
That's the joys of having a website that works remotely, I suppose. But
Yes.
Jonny, you recently jetted off to Paris, I believe, and you saw Assassin's Creed Unity.
I did indeed. Yeah, very exciting.
Now,
Good
I
to-
suppose the first question I'll ask you is, what's your history with the Assassin's Creed series?
Um, Truthfully, my history is big gaps actually. So I was really interested just to pick up the first next gen Assassin's Creed and see how they've progressed it. So it's quite an interesting one because I was probably one of the few people there that wasn't super hot on Assassin's Creed. So yeah, it was a different perspective from me,
Right,
perhaps.
okay. Well, I mean, I think the majority of people kind of feel, well, maybe it's wrong of me to say that, but I think a lot of people do feel that way about Assassin's Creed. It's like, personally myself, I've been hot and cold on this series with certain kind of games, like loved Brotherhood, thought Revelations was poor, and just kind of on and off years. But Assassin's Creed Unity, I suppose, first of all, yeah, you went into this with an open mind and kind of not an Assassin's Creed fanboy or anything like that.
Yep.
But what was your kind of first impression? Well, I suppose what did you play first of all? What was open to you in the preview?
So the preview was at the French Military Museum, which was really beautiful, gorgeous, grand building in the middle of Paris. And they told us we were about an hour and a half into the game, and then we were allowed to just play as much as we could in the space of 4 hours, just get into it as much as
Okay.
possible. But they weren't giving any details away about the first hour, what happens in that hour. But yeah, I got to control Arno. He's the name. That's the name of the new dude in this Assassin's Creed. And we took on a couple of missions. It was pretty interesting. But first impressions when you look at it for the first time are just blown away by how it looks. That is the absolutely fantastic to look at.
How would you rate it up against some of the other new generation titles so far? Because like looking at the stuff from E3, it did look very, very nice.
Yeah, I think it is the best looking next gen game I've seen. Well, in terms of like third person action games,
Right.
I haven't had a chance to play. Is it Infamous,
Infamous,
on
yeah.
PS4? That's supposed to look pretty fantastic in the flesh, but this does look just staggering. The amount of detail and the lighting, it's really top notch.
Right, and Arno, as you said, is the assassin for this game.
Yep.
What did you think of him?
Oh, he's a perfectly nice guy, apart from apart from when he's putting knives through people's throats. Yeah, no,
Does he seem like a deep character?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I didn't get that much of a chance to find out much about him. There's tons of detail on the people that you go to assassinate in this Assassin's Creed, which I think is quite a good thing because a lot of the time it's a bit hollow in previous titles. But I think there's definitely room there to find out more about him. And in the preview, we weren't given much information on him. But I think they're trying to keep that under wraps until people actually get hold of the game, so they can sort of make judgments for themselves.
Right.
But he's another chap that's had a rough start to life, from my understanding. Adopted by Templars and turned into an assassin. Apparently, he's in the same bloodline as Altair and the other
Ezio.
yeah twat that I can't remember the name of. Yeah, one of those guys. So he was born to be an assassin, but he didn't know it. So it's very Disney.
Very, very Disney. Yeah, Disney's Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yes.
You mentioned about having a lot more information on your targets. What do you mean by that?
Oh, so you don't know it until you've completed a mission, but it's a really brilliant touch actually. I think you go into the mission, which we'll talk about in a bit, how they've changed that, and you've got a guy that you need to kill. So you sneak in there, do your business, and then just as you're about to pull the trigger, so to speak, you've assassinated him. A cutscene kicks in, and it shows you all of the bad shit he's done in his life to lead up to the point where he became on the hit list.
That's very Dexter. Did you ever watch Dexter?
Yes, yeah, it is very similar to that actually. Yeah, it's a nice touch.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you can justify your killing by seeing all the bad stuff that they've done.
Yeah. So you can either sit back and think that they deserved it, or maybe not. But yeah, all the close-ups and animation in there. Yeah, it's really quite a nice touch actually. On the main missions, they're very well put together.
Right. Okay. So give us a taste of what one of the main missions that you did.
Okay. So we picked it up and we were told that we needed to go and get some equipment, blah blah blah, all the usual stuff. And then we got sent to Notre Dame, which is a big church in Paris. For those of you that have not looked out of the window or opened a book before,
another Disney link.
Yes,
the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Go on,
anyway. Just for the Disney fans. So we get to Notre Dame, and another little cutscene kicks in, and it's very short, and the camera just whooshes around the church, showing you all the possible entryways. It doesn't show you them sort of blinding daylight and say this is the way in. It sort of drops lots of hints as to how you could take this mission on. So it zoomed in on a friar with keys hanging from his pocket, a guard that had a set of keys that you could probably go and assassinate, a guy selling lockpicks to break into a window, and then there was just the front entrance, which would mean you'd have to go in there and kill like 50 guys to get in, and you'd probably die. So you had lots of hints as to how to get into the building, and so the mission area gets closed off, so you're not really allowed to leave without ending the mission. They've really sort of, the last Assassin's Creed I played was Brotherhood. And I picked up bits of Black Flag and stuff like that, but they just bought the shit out of me, I'll be honest. And in terms of the mission design for the main story missions, we'll talk about the other missions later. They've definitely made it's more intense. I really felt like I had freedom to do what I wanted. I could have stealthed in. I tried to stealth in and failed. It's very difficult actually trying to stealth in, the amount of bad guys that are hanging around.
Is it? Because one thing that I kind of never really got along with in the Assassin's Creed series was the stealth, because you would think you're an assassin and you're painted as this guy who's very slick, very suave, can, as I said, use your stealth abilities to sneak past guards and stuff like that. But it always just, I felt anyway, that Assassin's Creed games normally just, you stealth for a bit, but then you're seen, and then you just kick the shit out of everyone and you go about your business. Is the stealth any better in this one?
I think they've definitely tried to pitch it from a marketing perspective as being better. I wouldn't say that it's much improved. They've changed the AI in a way that makes it possible to stealth in and out. The enemies, NPCs, guards, whatever, they've got a field of vision, and you can see it on screen in a little graphic that appears. So when they're facing away from you,
like a little, just kind of a little cone of vision, kind of Metal Gear Solid style. Thing.
But kind of like that, but in reverse. So if you walk in front of them, they're going to see you straight away, and pick up on it. And they've got this angry meter that appears Far Cry style. It tells you if they're like just intrigued about who you are. If it's orange, if it's orange, you're going to start walking towards you, and if it's red, they want to just fist you and kill you. So there's that. But when they're walking away from you, they haven't seen you yet. A little graphic appears, and it shows you how aware they are that something's going on behind them. So you can really use that to sort of sneak up on people and take an advantage. But if there's more than one person, I don't think it is actually possible to stealth. And they do see you hiding in the shadows, sitting on a rooftop, looking sexy. It's just it. I think they like to think it's going to be possible to stealth in and out, but I would find it very difficult unless it's a sort of secluded mission. Every time I have to go into a barracks or somewhere where it's crawling with bad guys, it was basically the slingshot came up pretty quickly.
Right. Okay. And another problem that has come up in many Assassin's Creed games is repetition. Now, I know you said you only played it for, was it 4 hours?
Yeah.
Did you? How many story missions were available to you in that 4 hours?
I think I got through about 3 or 4. I took on loads of side quests and stuff like that.
Did you come across any sort of repetition in the story missions?
Well, I think not being the biggest Assassin's Creed player, I think the first mission I played was the Notre Dame mission, and it was really novel and exciting, and it took me quite a while to get through it, a couple of attempts. And then I went to do the next story mission, and it was like the Notre Dame mission, but much less exciting. So there wasn't a kill at the end of it. It was just about gathering information. But I did have to kill about 20 revolutionaries to get to my target. But not in the sort of very fancy Assassin's Creed way that they like to portray.
No, but before we get on to the side quests, I do want to ask again. Another problem with the Assassin's Creed games is, for me, the climbing and the traversal of buildings, because it seems like whether it was Altair, Ezio, one of the Kenways, Connor, any of them, they just had super glue stuck to their hands and their feet, and they would stick to everything possible, and trying to get to the area you wanted to get to was quite difficult at points. Did you find any problems with traversing buildings, or just?
Yeah, that hasn't changed at all. So if you're running through the street and you're running from a guard, you find yourself just sprinting up a building without even feeling like no intention of jumping in that haystack or climbing on those boxes. But running down the street and suddenly you get caught. It makes you get caught. I never understand that. It just totally ruins the sort of feel of the game, I think. But yeah, they haven't changed that. It's the same. You can just climb everything. I got stuck quite a lot, which was quite frustrating. And this is they said it was near complete code.
Really?
I got stuck more times than I care to remember on Notre Dame and various other buildings. So you're climbing up a gargoyle's face, hanging off their arse or whatever, and then Arno would just...
Lovely way to spend a Saturday night.
Oh yeah, it was great. hanging off the arse. Anyway, so Arno would just get stuck and just no way of getting him off of an object, either like between two walls or next to a wall, in a haystack, on a gargoyle. Sometimes just stood there and he'd just be stuck, and the only way to get him out of that situation was to fast travel to another location, and it would end the mission. Pretty disappointing. But yeah, you can climb absolutely everything as per usual. They haven't changed that at all. Like running through buildings and stuff like that. There's lots of it that's obviously been put there for mission purposes, and I kept on running into buildings when I really didn't want to go in there and stuff like that. That just winds me up. But
does it feel very automated? Like, are you just holding the whatever it was, R1 or R2, and just pushing the analog stick forward, and Arno's doing these incredible gymnastics and you're not doing anything?
Yeah, that's a trend though, isn't it? Like Tomb Raider, Assassin's Creed, Uncharted, they all do it. But in Assassin's Creed, I find, because I'm just a dozy fucker, you climb in a building and you're doing that, like you say, the automated. It's time to relax, isn't it? When you climb in a building, sort of lean back, watch him have a climb while you just sit there in your pants. And the second he stops climbing, and I have to think about where I'm going next. It should be a good thing, but I hate it. Just climb, just keep climbing. We'll get to the top, and then we'll take some bad guys down. That's what I want to do. But you are right; it is very, very automated, and
No, and a thing I noticed I think it was at E3 anyway, similar to, like, say, a Skyrim or something like that. Arno was going up to people. He was accepting quests, but he wouldn't start the mission. He would just kind of continue on. He might accept another quest. Can you do that? Can you, like, stack up a number of quests but not start them straight away?
Yeah, so it just adds lots of waypoints to your map.
Right.
And you can just take on different parts of it, sort of at your leisure. Right, I don't think you can't take on a main story mission and a side quest at the same time. because those areas are restricted. So you go in there. Okay, I'm going to do this mission now, and then you're sort of stuck doing that until you've finished. All of the other waypoints disappear. You can still, I don't know, go to the shop, buy some inventory, do that sort of thing, but you are restricted to those mission points while you're in it. But yeah, you're right with the side quests. You can stack them up and have different ones on at different times.
Okay, so tell me about the side quests.
Oh, side quests. I don't know if it's just because I'm a lazy gamer, but I do tend to just blast through games doing the story, lap it up, and then sort of kiss goodbye. I'm not interested in the rest of it. But the side quests in this are... I'll talk you through one of them. I bumped into this nice-looking guy on the street. He had a mission for me. And he said, "Oh, there's these fountains around Paris. They are the work of the devil. People are getting sick on these fountains." So I thought, okay, I'll have a look. I'll look into it for you.
Don't worry, I'll sort it out.
Yeah, it's just on that kind of guy. I will walk around Paris and
fix Satan's fountains.
Yeah, exactly. I will find out for you. And the only way to find out if these fountains really were satanic or not was to drink the water.
Oh.
So you're walking around, you're talking to these various people, and I'm drinking water. So you find the fountain, and then the genius gameplay mechanic to show that Arno has just been sort of captured by the devil. The devil's spirit is in Arno was to put a blue filter over the screen, so you could see fuck all. You're walking around this beautiful Paris, and you can see absolutely nothing. And this mission happens at night, so you can see even less.
Oh.
So and then there's this mysterious voice, sexy woman that's trying to lure you to this certain location where the screen is blue, and then they attack you. So it turns out that the fountains have been poisoned, and they rob people that drink the water. That's the end game of this mission. And the fights were so difficult with this ridiculous blue filter on the camera, and yeah, it was just shit.
Did it completely obscure your vision?
If you imagine a broken TV that can only an old CRT monitor that can only fire out blue, that's what it looked like. It was horrible. One of the capture points where they say they lure you to this location. I'm going to make you really, really rich with your blue screen. You get there and it's in a tunnel, and so it's even darker than normal. And yeah, and then they start trying to attack you, and everything's blue, and I'm just mashing buttons because I don't know where everybody is. And yeah, so it was pretty crap.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like too wonderful of a time. No, were any of the other side missions an improvement on that? Not
really. It's the usual sort of fare. You go to point X, collect 3 items, that sort of crap. Go to this point where someone's being attacked and stop them. It's pretty standard stuff. It is really just a method for getting more money in your wallet, I think. More experience points, because you need to unlock these points and have more francs in your purse to progress, basically, to make the main story missions easier.
Right. Okay. Did you have an opportunity to play around with the co-op?
I did. Yeah. So they let us play 1 2-player co-op mission and 1 4-player co-op mission, and the 4-player co-op I didn't enjoy quite so much. At the 2-player I did. So the way they explained it was that 2-player is much closer to the single-player campaign. Right. So you get into a mission with your buddy, and there's a cutscene, and you get all of the usual information from the Templar dudes, and then you go on a sneaky mission to kill someone or gather information or whatever. So, and that feels much more like the single-player campaign, and I think people will appreciate that. People that like Assassin's Creed are into it, because it doesn't take away from that single-player experience too much. And it's nice to have someone to do the mission with, so you have to talk about who's going to go where and what the tactics is going to be. But the 4-player stuff is much more sort of like, I don't know how to explain it. If you think of like a crappy movie tie-in game where you've got 4 little characters running around, and like Shrek or something like that, and comparing Assassin's Creed to Shrek the game. So if you imagine something like that, it's much more of a free for all. So it's much more online game orientated. Get in there. The person that gathers the most points is the sneakiest fucker. Gets to the target first. That sort of thing. There's much more sort of emphasis on points and.
So it's a lot more. The 4 players a lot more kind of arcadey.
Yeah. That's. I should have explained it like that from the start, not like Shrek. You know Shrek.
Are these co-op missions? Are these accessible within the map itself?
Yeah. So you're walking around Paris and you'll see a guy just stood there looking really shifty, with a weird graphic overlaying his face, and that means you can go online and partake in a mission. So we couldn't in our single player experience that we were doing while the co-op experiences were going on. We weren't allowed to just walk up to one of these guys and get into a mission, but I did, and a matchmaking menu comes up and you can invite a friend to the mission, or you can just join a party with some other random strangers and get involved. So it doesn't interfere with the Assassin's Creed core experience at all, really. You can totally ignore it if you wanted to, but there is loot and items and stuff that you can only find if you're with a buddy.
Right. And so if you don't play the co-op missions, you'll still get the kind of main bulk of Unity. Like you won't necessarily be missing out on anything, as far as you know.
As far as I know, it'll be like if you didn't play the DLC, you're not losing out on really core story aspects. You're not going to be in the pub having a conversation and think, I don't have no idea what these people are talking about. I think they've made it so you can play the single player and you get the full experience, and the 2-player side of it adds a little bit more.
Right, okay. And another thing about the Assassin's Creed series, obviously, is that you have the modern day element. Did you see any of that?
I didn't, actually, and I didn't hear anybody talk about it. So I don't know if they're stepping away from it or not. I doubt it. Obviously, they're not going to be doing that because it's a key part of the bullshit story that they like to tell. But
yeah, it would be nice, I think, if they did step away from it, because it seems like the modern day element is the part that everyone, like even hardcore Assassin's Creed fans, seem to hate the modern day element of it, because it's just even just that whole the Desmond stuff really tainted those first couple of games. Even in the last one, there was this weird meta, you're a games developer, weird thing in it. So you didn't get to see any of the Animus stuff. It was all just in France itself during the revolution.
Yeah, so the only reference to the Animus stuff was when you died and it said you desynchronized. That was the only time I saw any reference to it at all, really. But that's just pretty normal.
Right, okay. Was there anything else of note that you saw during your time in Unity?
Yeah. So I'll talk a bit more about how good it looks, because that's just the thing that really sort of just dragged me into its world, was the way that it looked. And yeah, so the audio, I'll just talk about that because it's a bit funny. So you've got Arno, who speaks with a sort of wonderful French accent, and he's going to murder me, and I don't really mind because he sounds absolutely wonderful. And you're walking around, that's good. And the Templars, they're either French or they speak the Queen's English. I can just about cope with that. And then every character in the game that is an enemy speaks with a fucking stupid Bristolian accent. So, you know what I mean? That every time there's a game with sort of medieval
I get you. Yeah,
onwards lore, that up to around the 18th century, fable, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone starts speaking like they've just came out of of the market and they're on their way down to shopping centre or something like that. I don't know. It's it just makes me like the realism just comes crashing down. And I've got a quote.
Brilliant! I'm looking forward to this.
So I went to I'm Arno, and I'm on a shifty main story mission, and everybody's speaking in their nice French accents in the
Yeah.
cutscenes. And Arno,
It's just Arsene Wenger is everywhere.
yep. And I'm deep in the move, right? And I'm sneaking through this building, and it's a really run down part of Paris where people go, like the homeless are there, and it's really moody, and you can see the sort of famine and depravity of it all. And then I'm sneaking up on this guard, and the place is called Les Miracles, right?
Okay.
That's probably not how you say it. And this is how he says it to his friend. Is this your first time in Les Miracles? And then his friend answers, "Oui." So, and it's just why? What person made the decision that every gamer, when they see a part of history, they should sound a bit like someone
from Bristol.
Yeah, Bristol or Wiltshire or whatever. It just makes me just what? Maybe it's because I'm English, you're Irish. You bump into these people all the time that sound like that.
Yeah. It's peculiar. Like maybe your American player or whatever mightn't kind of see it as strange as maybe you or I would, but it obviously it does kind of take you out of this kind of, because as you said, it looks fantastic. They really recreated the French Revolution really well, and then you hear that accent. It's like, what is that doing there?
Yeah, I don't think you're right with it. It must be for audiences other than the UK, because I can see that if you're an American and you think, what do people used to sound like? You might think they sounded like that. They would do if they watch TV and play games. Everyone sounds like that in the past, right, mate?
So, in closing, what's your overall feeling towards Assassin's Creed Unity right now? Are you kind of cautiously optimistic, or where do you stand?
I think people that absolutely adore 2 and Brotherhood, because it's made by the same lead people there. I like the director and the senior producer who we've got an interview up with. Go read it; it's really good. Vincent Pontraband. Those guys worked on Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and they've been working on this game ever since, and it really feels similar to those games. They've taken all the naval stuff out, crafting, hunting, all that stuff. If that stuff got on your nerves, and you love Assassin's Creed 5 years ago, then I think those people will be really excited. But for people that have enjoyed Assassin's Creed going forwards into Black Flag, etc., then they're going to miss a lot of the stuff that's in there. It's stagnated quite heavily, so the mission variety isn't really, from what I saw, and I only got 3 or 4 hours, and it's such a big game. There's not enough variety for me that will keep me hooked. I mean, it looks just absolutely stunning, and I think it'll be a game that's going to be punctuated by really amazing high points, but then there's going to be a lot of just grinding, and that doesn't really do anything for me. Yeah,
I know what you mean. Yeah, so it could be a better experience if it was kind of a bit more focused.
Yeah, and the gentleman that I spoke to, Vincent, lead producer, one of the reasons for going to Paris and staying in Paris and not sort of fucking off to other places was that they could be more focused. And some of the missions I did play were really focused, and they were quite intense, and I really enjoyed it. And I had that sense of achievement at the end that I'd chosen the right path or done something cool. But then so much of it is just really generic. Just could be any old game, old Assassin's Creed. Yeah, just no real direction. So I think, I mean, the jury is definitely out. I'm not going to be rushing out to pick it up on day one. I will wait and see if it managed to become a more consistent experience throughout.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you very much, Jonny, for jetting off to Paris and having a look at Assassin's Creed Unity for us.
No problem.
You have a written preview up on the site right now, correct?
Yep, I do.
So everyone can have a go look at that as well. And thank you very much for watching.